One, two. Okay. Hmm. Welcome to Sunday morning meditation. I invite you to find a comfortable place so that you can be comfortable for the next 15 minutes. Let's begin the process by taking 3 very large deep breaths. And with each exhale, just allow your shoulders to drop and allow your body to relax. Let's begin the process. Inhale, hold, exhale. Inhale, hold, exhale. Inhale, hold, exhale. Feel that nice, warm, relaxed feeling spread throughout your body. As we move into a deeper and deeper state of relaxation in connection with the core of our being. With each breath that you take, just allow yourself to be more and more relaxed, more and more comfortable, more and more at peace. That's it. Feel the support of the chair supporting your body. As you move further and further into this very healthy state of mind and state of being. As we set the intention to purposefully and consciously connect with the core of our being, that core which is connected to and aligned with the divine source. The source of all that is. That's it. I'd like you to use your imagination. I'd like you to imagine that rather than breathing with your lungs, that you're breathing through your heart. Breathing in divine love. Breathing out divine love. Breathing in love. Breathing out love. With each breath, allowing yourself to go further and further into that feeling of relaxation. As we begin the journey in this moment, in this very healthy state of being, as we explore within our body, the peace within our mind, the peace within our spirit. The peace that comforts. The peace that soothes. That peace which fosters the ability to create that connection with Source. Recognizing that there is only the one. And being in the presence. There is only peace. Feel it. Experience it. Be. Allowing each and every one of those passing thoughts to easily and naturally give way to the feeling of peace. That peace which expresses in so many different ways. The peace which is your normal and natural way to be. Just like when everything is in alignment, there is this tremendous washing over your body, your mind, your soul with peace. That feeling of love and that feeling of being absolutely safe. That's it. Just allow it to wash over your entire being. is so wonderful to experience the peace of this moment. That peace which abides within you and is available at all times and in all ways. Grateful for this experience, grateful for this coming together with Source in this moment. Grateful for the ability to breathe in love. Grateful for this moment. And this moment. And this moment. Grateful for the ability to express peace within each aspect of your being. Grateful for the ability to say yes to peace. And the ability to say yes to the divine love which moves in and out of your body. Allowing this experience to anchor deep within the core of your being. So that no matter where you are, no matter what it is that you are doing, that this peace is available in an instant. In each and every part of your being, easily and naturally, moves to the state of being. As this meditation comes to a close, let us affirm the truth of our nature, the truth of our connection with Source, and our ability to create by stating, and so it is.
It might blow everybody's heads
Ready
off.
to roll?
So we call the children up then.
Okay.
Not yet, but when we go to do the song.
Yes, okay.
She pulls the microphone and half of it comes off.
Is it going to be one of those days?
Okay.
Gotta love it.
Okay. Good morning, and you are welcome here. I am Marisha, and I'm your facilitator today. And today, we have Fun Day School. We invite all the children to come up now to sing the first song with us. Let's begin with I Am Who I Am.
I am who I am. I am who I am. Who I am is just perfect. I am who I am. I have all I need here inside of me. I start each new day, and I remember to say, I am who I am. I am who I am. Who I am is just perfect. I am who I am. I don't have to worry. I have all I need. I start each new day, and I remember to say, I am who I am. I am who I am. Who I am is just perfect. I am who I am. If I'm feeling worried, I take a deep breath. I start each new day, and I remember to say, I am who I am. I am who I am. Who I am is just perfect. I am who I am. Who I am is just perfect. I am who I am.
Yay! Have fun!
All right.
Let's sing God is looking good in you. God is looking good in you. God is looking good in you. He must be well pleased with all that he sees. God is looking good in you. God is looking good in me. God is looking good in me. She must be well pleased with all that she sees. God is looking good in me. Now turn around and tell someone, God is looking good in us. God is looking must be well pleased with all that it sees. God is looking good in us. Find someone else. Here we go. God is looking good in us. God is looking good in us. It must be well pleased with all that it sees. God is looking good in us. It must be well pleased with all that it sees. God is looking good. God is looking good. God is looking good in us. It's so good to be here. Let's do this one. I'm here to remind you. I'm here to remind you of your magnificence, to help you awake to all the wonder that you are. I long to show you all the joy you're worthy of. I'm here to remind you how much you're truly loved. You're here to remind me of my magnificence, to help to awake to all the wonder that I am. You long to show me all the joy I'm worthy of. You're here to remind me how much I'm truly loved.
Oh, and as I breathe into this moment, I invite you to join with me in consciousness as I speak these words from the oneness. My heart is filled with the joy, the blessings, and the magnificence of Spirit within me. As I breathe and relax, I know that this is a loving, embracing place of benevolence, place of joy, place of inclusiveness. I feel safe. I feel respected. I feel my tank filling up with all that I need to move forward in this day, in this week, in this life I call mine. With a grateful, grateful heart, I let these words go into the absolute, knowing it always says yes. And I await with open arms for even more good to come my way. Blessed, I let it go. Please join with me in saying, and so it is.
I'm here to remind you of your magnificence, to help you awake to all the wonder that you are. I long to show you all the joy you're worthy of. I'm here to remind you how much you're truly loved. You're here to remind me of my magnificence, to help to awake to all the wonder that I am. You long to show me all the joy I'm worthy
Today's reading is Spiritual Being. I am a living expression of God. Could you please repeat that with me?
I am a living expression of God.
In her classic book, Lessons in Truth, H. Emily Cady wrote, I am spirit, perfect, holy, harmonious. Spirit can be defined as the invisible life and intelligence underlying all physical things. That means I am much more than my body, my thoughts, and my emotions. I am a living expression of God. As I grow in spiritual understanding, my life reflects my true nature more and more clearly. I know wholeness even when my body is experiencing illness. I see abundance even when outer circumstances indicate lack. I embrace possibilities for good even when my limited awareness cannot yet see the good. I live my human experience as the true spiritual being that I am. So God created humankind in his image. In the image of God, he created them. From Genesis chapter 1, verse 27. Now I would love to invite Jean Jefferson, one of our board members who has just returned from Unity Village, Missouri for the great Canadian conference they had there, and she's excited to share her experience. So, Jean Jefferson.
Yes, thank you. I did that. Good morning. Along with Sheila Meyer and Randy Jacobs, it was my very much appreciated opportunity to represent this center at the Unity Canada 2019 conference, which was held at Unity Village, which is the headquarters of the Unity movement. The theme of this year was I am a quitter for my spiritual sake. Some of the quitters were quit being afraid of what others think, quit lying, quit blaming, and quit living someone else's life. Martha Creek was the main program leader who helped us through the needs why to quit for our spiritual sake. Martha is a well-respected teacher of leaders throughout the Unity movement. Reverend Paul Hasselbeck led us through his extensive research of the Fillmores, which he will be publishing in a book very shortly. Each morning started with meditation by Maxine Alexander. She's been here talking to us. And then followed by songs and singing by one of our favorite songwriters, Daniel Namaud. Presentations were given by Reverend Aaron McCabe, Paulette Pipe, and Unity representatives. Talent night was fun. When members entertained, there were singers, poem readers, and my favorite, Shirley Hill from Calgary, dressed in full regalia, did a hoop dance, sang an honor song, and danced a fancy dance. Can you imagine what fun that was? There were tours of the village and the tower and the bookstore. I was excited to finally, after all the many times I'd been there, I finally got a chance to go up on the elevator to the top of the tower. Every time I approach that place and see that tower, it just, there's an excitement in my body. Anyway, at the top it's open, and there's inlaid names
There's
and
a
dates
picture.
in the floor. And from the top, you can see not only all of the Unity property, but far beyond. The business meeting was chaired by President Reverend Vicky Vanderhorst. Her report was quite long, but I'm going to give you a couple of paragraphs from that. What they want to do is to serve and equip ministries and emerging leaders by providing spirit-led education support, communication, and leadership consultancy. We review our core values and statements to support each one. Generosity. We wisely give our time, talent, and treasure. Innovation. We anticipate change and response with agility and creative solutions. Belonging. We foster connections with the unity movement. Open. We communicate with transparency and integrity and invite collaboration. Fruitful. We harvest an abundance of radically high-quality spiritual leaders and communities through our careful nurture. We harvest results that support our missions. Anyone taking the C courses now for credit through the Canadian teachers, and of course that's Wendy Carr and Sheila, and they will have their C registration fees covered through the education reimbursement program and through the ministries, and they will pay their student fees to register. And I mentioned Wendy Carr. Unfortunately, Wendy couldn't be there. She had sent her report ahead because her husband Bill was in the hospital. Now, the good news is the nominating team, which was led this year by Reverend Mary Wood, our Sheila Mayer is on it for next year. And others nominated this year were Sandy Career for a second term and Reverend Roxanne Buckle for a term. Roxanne did a year or so at the village, and now she's got a 6 months, at least 6 months at Victoria. And there was something else I was going to mention. Anyway, I did see Don and Cynthia Foster, but only for a few minutes, and they sent their greetings. And that's it.
Thank you.
Respectfully submitted.
Thank you very much, Jean. Lovely to hear everything that's coming and evolving in our Canada Unity communities. Thank you. Okay. Our annual theme is One Humanity, Many Stories. And our theme for October is Cherish the Human Family Unity. And I want to introduce the book of the month that's available at the back. It's called The Principle of Oneness. The Principle of Oneness expounds on the first principle from the award-winning and best-selling book, The 6 Principles of Enlightenment and Meaning of Life, and is the second in this series of 8 books on enlightenment. Many have said, we are all one. But what does that really mean? And this practical guide helps you understand and experience the profound unity of everyone and everything. Author Russell Anthony Gibbs explains the science behind the connections of everything, both the physical matter and non-physical energy. Gibbs supports his points with quotes from scientists, enlightened beings, spiritual leaders, philosophers, and others. Great minds like Albert Einstein, Buddha, Aristotle, Rumi, and Jesus all understood the profound oneness of the universe. Gibbs further clarifies some of the misconception about the universe God, as well as explains how to live and experience the principle of oneness. And as I said, the book is available at the back if you'd like to have your own copy for $20. Okay, and now it is my honor to introduce Reverend Ann with the theme of cherishing the human family. Reverend Ann.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here. You brought the sun today. I drove in the fog and the drizzle this morning. Who knew what kind of day it was going to be? And the Scottish say when there's just enough blue in the sky, there's enough to make a Scotchman a pair of breeches. So today's a good day. So we're talking about cherishing the human family, and that takes in so many different things. I narrowed it down to 3 that I'd like to really cover today. And please join me. So I'm going to talk about UPR, and you'll find out what that is shortly. I'm going to talk a little bit about suicide and how, as cherishing our human family, we might approach that, and this idea of oneness. So UPR is the acronym for Unconditional Positive Regard. There was a man by the name of Rogers who basically came up with the principle that if you could view every person, no matter what they had done, with unconditional positive regard, that you were sending a kind of vibration and an energy not only from you, but that they can receive and do receive, because everyone receives love, that allows them to be that much more of who they actually are in their true nature. And so unconditional positive regard stands for an attitude of complete acceptance and love for someone, that nothing they can do could give you a reason to stop seeing them as human and lovable. That there is this real distinct difference between their behavior and who they ultimately are. And it does not mean that you accept the action that's taken by the person, that you accept them as who they are at the level of their consciousness, and that understanding that on some level, if they knew better, they would do better. So one vital technique, the unconditional positive regard, is one vital technique for helping our family, our friends, and our children to be the best versions of themselves, unconditional positive regard. And I remember with my son, for instance, really teaching him from early on that his behavior might suck, but that I would always love him. And that it would be okay to tell me if he did something that was wrong, because that didn't affect how I felt about him, but that we could have an opportunity to correct it or to change the course of what he was doing. So it's a kind of attitude that is most likely to lead to trust, and that's Carl Rogers who developed it. And it really does. I mean, I remember we did some training on conflict resolution, Randy and I, at the University of Waterloo. And one of the training sessions was on how to do a circle conversation, which some of us know from Aboriginal circles, where they have a talking piece and they have a certain protocol. Well, we spent 4 days with 20 individuals, and everyone was from a different walk of life. You know, we knew that they were all ministerial, so in a way they were sort of filtered for us. But typically what we were learning was how to be together no matter who was in the group, recognizing that the person who was the circle keeper, which is the one that basically orchestrates and has things go, is not the authority, but the person that keeps everyone on track. And that we come together with how we're going to behave together, how we're going to treat each other before we begin the circle. And so this unconditional positive regard was introduced in a really fabulous way. And what ended up happening over the 4 days was that we did some really unusual things together in circle. And some of them could have felt very unsafe. But because we had already come together with mutual agreements on how we would behave together, and we knew that the circle keeper would stop things if they got out of hand, it was really a lot easier to deal with the things that did come up. in one case, we had driftwood that was a pile of driftwood in the middle of the floor. There was no table, and we were a circle of 20 of us. And we were asked each in turn to just take their turn. We weren't told what to do or anything like that. And so the circle keeper was the one to initiate, and they went to the center of the circle and they moved a couple of the sticks. They put them in another spot. So I was about 3 or 4 people down, and some people had moved some sticks around and stuff. And I got up and I thought, okay, well, I'm just going to do what everybody else did. And I moved a couple of my sticks from the center, what I thought were my sticks, and put them somewhere else. And about 2 people from me was this gentleman that looked quite rough. He was dressed quite dirty and looked quite rough. He had greasy long hair, and you know how you have a tendency to look at someone like that, perhaps, and judge. And he was intentionally placed there, of course, for us. And he basically grabbed one of the pieces of wood, pulled out his pocket knife, and started whittling the piece of wood. And he did it for an hour. And we're all sitting there because we're not intended to talk. We're intended to just everyone, as long as it takes for them to do whatever it is with this driftwood. And I remember sitting there going, oh my goodness, how can I keep this unconditional positive regard? This guy might be wacko. He might get up and, I don't know, do something with his knife, or, all these crazy ideas were going on in my head. But of course, nothing happened. Eventually, he just had whittled a little bit, made a mess on the floor, and then just stopped and passed the talking piece to the next person. It went on. But we had such amazing experiences with being confronted with our own judgments on what we think people will do and what they won't do. And having to really face this idea of, can I really see every person, no matter what their behavior is like, with unconditional positive regard? It was quite a training session, I'll tell you. So unconditional positive regard is not about liking a person or accepting everything they've done. It's about respecting the person as a human being with his or her own free will and operating under the assumption that he or she is doing the best that they can. So what do you think about that? Have you had to face that in your own way, perhaps judging, and then after the fact going, wow, why did I even judge? Because it wasn't quite as scary as what you built up in your mind. So how about we change this unconditional positive regard to 3 words that are easier to say. I love you. And I love you from the standpoint of, I wish you happiness. Because I know the human in you, that's ultimately what you desire, because I know that's ultimately what I desire, to feel happy. Maybe not even happy, but joy. That joy which is just sort of a steady, peaceful kind of a thing. And so I've started to do that. And early on, it was very difficult to say I love you to someone I didn't know very well or didn't particularly like. But as soon as I translated what I love you meant in my head, which was different, it wasn't romantic love or that I like you even, but that I wish you joy, I wish you happiness, now it rolls off my tongue from a really sincere and really deep place. So I invite you as you move forward with the concept of saying I love you. See how many times you can say I love you this week and really mean it from the standpoint of joy. Now, I know a cashier at Loblaws or something would probably freak if you said to them, I love you. But you could say it silently. Or if you do say it out loud, would you report back next week? Let me know how it goes.
Get along down the road. We got a long, long way to go. Scared to live, scared to die. We ain't perfect, but we try. Get along while we can. Always give love the upper hand. Paint a wall, learn to dance. Call your mom, buy a boat, sing a song, make a friend. Can't we all get along?
So I'd like to talk about suicide today just because it was something that was in my peripheral vision. And as I was going through my processes this week and thinking about that, one of the statistics that I came across was that every fourth person basically can tell you that they know of someone who has either committed suicide or wanted to. And I started to think about my own life and wondered if I'd had much exposure, because you know how we go along and some things we just forget. And I remember being in, I think it was grade 7 or perhaps grade 8. Now, I lived in Sudbury, Ontario, which was a mining town, and everyone was from every nationality, pretty much. Their parents, none of them could speak English because they had come from different places. And so we had every color, every race, every creed in our classroom, pretty much. And so I grew up in an environment where there was no class distinction. You know, we were all just the same, and I had this particular affinity to those kids that didn't seem to be appreciated by everyone else in the room, and so I became their friends. So if I saw that people were picking on them or saying something, I somehow just naturally felt like, well, I should be their friend, and maybe I can help them to get through this whatever, teach them how they can kind of get along with everyone, and if they, you know, whatever it is that they needed to do. I don't know what my driving force was, but it was there. And there was a young woman who had the hair of a black person, so the really, really curly, kinky hair, and there was no one else in the classroom that did. And she was always struggling with kind of taming it down, because of course it doesn't tame. And she had white skin, but she had the freckles like Morgan Freeman. So she had a black mother, I believe, and a white father. And she was from Jamaica, and she was really ignored by a lot of the kids because she was so different. And so she was my best friend. And one day in the evening at about 7 o'clock, my phone rang. And I was on the phone for 3 hours. Now, back then, the phone was attached to the wall, so like I was stuck in wherever I was on the phone. And I'd never experienced this before, and I didn't remember it until this morning as I woke up from my dream. But she wanted to commit suicide. And she spoke to me, and I spoke back to her for 3 hours. And I don't know if she reached out to anyone else, and it didn't even occur to me that I was doing something good by being there and listening. But because she was my friend, I just listened. I told her how great she was. I just confirmed all of the good things about her. And she's around today as a consequence of that, perhaps, of reaching out, of me being the kind of person that was willing to listen. I don't know. But I naturally found myself in that situation. And I remember thinking, I wonder what it was that made me unique, or perhaps she just knew somehow that I was the person to reach out to. But sometimes it's as simple as just being an ear and knowing that someone is of value that makes a difference in a time when someone's in crisis. And then I started thinking some more, and 2 houses down from us, the gentleman of the family committed suicide by hanging himself. And I happen to know the family because I babysat their 2 children. He was a professor at Laurentian University, and his wife was a very scholarly German woman. And I was, of course, intimately aware that that had happened because I had been looking after their children. And they shortly after that moved away, and I don't know what happened to them. But so I had 2 exposures to that. And then the 3rd exposure was one of my mentors as I was studying ministry, admitted to many times hitting the wall and emotionally, and because of these teachings was able to turn herself around, not easily, but because there was a support system of people that she could share with, saying, you know, I'm really not feeling great today. Can I just be with you or share with you? And that sharing made a difference for her. And so I had a more deep understanding of the fact that there isn't usually anything anyone can do other than to be there and to love and to be unconditional love, and to be the ear when someone wants to talk, and maybe be the person who asks the questions that no one else is willing to ask. So I've got 9 points, I believe, here, maybe maybe 10, that just are indications of if there is someone in your life that perhaps might be on the verge, that you might be more aware of what's going on with them, and maybe it's even you. That you have or they have showed increased anxiety and changes in their sleep patterns, for instance. Talked about feeling trapped, like there's no way out. Expressed feelings of hopelessness about the future. Talked about or threatened to hurt or kill themselves or look for ways to do it. Increased their use of alcohol or other drugs. Mentioned having no reason to live or no purpose in life, feeling purposelessness. And I mean, there's 1 or 2 or even 3 of those things that each of us at some point goes through. It doesn't mean that we're suicidal, but what can you do? They might be withdrawn from friends and family. I know I have a couple of girlfriends who I know when they disappear and I don't get texts from them for a while, they're dealing with something emotional. And I have learned over the time that they do come around, but I do send texts. How are you doing? And I get a response, so I know that they're okay. Show uncontrolled anger or say they want to seek revenge, might be another one. Engaged in risky activities, seemingly without thinking. Experience dramatic changes in their mood. So there's some samples of what it might be, and it could be something totally different than that. I know that a lot of people who have had someone who's committed suicide after the fact say, I wish that I had known, or I wish that I had asked the right question, or maybe there was something I could do. One thing I know for sure is that if I've made up my mind to do something, I'm going to find a way to do it. But at the same time, if I'm really not sure, then I do give clues about some decision I'm going to make, whether it be, and I've never been in this situation of wanting to commit suicide, but I know that I do give clues when I'm stressed and that kind of thing. So I do believe that people who are considering do give clues, and to be willing to say, so what's going on in your head? You know, are you actually thinking about hurting yourself? Because there's probably nobody else in their life that would be willing to do that. And the worst that can happen is they say, no friggin' way. I'm just feeling kind of yucky. Or they might say, wow, well, yeah, maybe. And then at least you have the opportunity to have the discussion. So what can you do about it? If you think someone is considering suicide, all talk of suicide must be taken seriously. We are trained as ministers that the moment that we hear something like that, we call one of the organizations to say that, we need to look after this person and give them as much information as we can. That's, even though I'm sworn to confidentiality, that's not something I would tell anyone else, but I would call 911. One of the things that I would suggest that you say to someone who's struggling is, you're important to me, and that I don't want you to die. It's reasonable to feel like you do, but I can help you find other solutions. Because the one thing is, I can't know how someone feels, but I can certainly be an advocate for finding ways of getting through it. So ask a direct question like, are you thinking about suicide? And be willing to do that. It's probably the most loving thing that you can do in that time. So that's about as serious as I'm going to get in this talk today. So some things for you to think about. So call 911 if you're faced with that situation. So the story about the Emperor Wu and a bearded monk. So this is talking about how the universe works and going into this whole idea of oneness. So the emperor says to the bearded monk, how much merit have I earned for my support of Buddhism? So he's really puffed up and egotistical here. And the bearded monk says, none. Deeds that expect worldly return may bring good karma, but produce no merit whatsoever. Then what is the meaning of noble truth, he says? There is no noble truth, only emptiness. Then who is standing before me? And he looks around. I don't know, Your Majesty. And basically, this comes from Zen Buddhism, and it's the idea that we create our reality 100%, but it's all an illusion. It's all energy, and that it has meaning only when you make meaning from it. But ultimately, that your source, who you are, the foundation of who you are, is spirit, which is essentially pure potentiality, but it's nothing until it's manifested. So then there's the story of Kashika and the virtuous butcher. So he goes to the virtuous butcher and he says that he really regrets that he's engaged in such a sinful profession. And there may be some vegetarians here who feel the same way about butchers. And Kashika and the virtuous butcher continue, and the butcher says, I have been born into this profession and could not choose it due to my circumstances. However, I bring all the virtues of renunciation, self-control, and love to my work. Even though the behavior of a profession may be bad, a person in that profession may still be of good behavior. And it's the whole idea that there is so much that is required to be done as work in this life. And it's what kind of consciousness do you do that work with? What do you bring to the party? And I don't know if there are any of you that are of a Jewish faith, but they have this term called kosher, which means that all of the food is blessed in a particular way, and that if animals are part of the food that you're going to be eating, that when they are destroyed for or killed for food, that it's done in a very humane way, as humane as one can be. And so it's called kosher. And I believe that that's what this story is also speaking to, is the idea that if you are going to do that, then you do it in a way that is the best that you can. Or you choose not to eat meat, for instance. So Kashika further inquired, how shall I know what is virtuous conduct? The butcher replied, in essence, that which takes you closer to knowing your true nature. So sacred service, that's what we sort of roll into in the oneness, and that is, what might such service look like when we're entangled in the messiness of daily life? Michael Beckwith, who is the minister of Agape in California, speaks to sacred service from the viewpoint of unconditional positive regard, that he sees everyone as spirit in action, and that it's right and perfect exactly what's going on with them, and to bless the spirit within them, not the behavior and not how they look on the outside. And that even when life gets really messy, that there is something good unfolding. Because if our first principle, and it is, that God is good all the time, then everything, even the messy, yucky, sticky, is good, just hasn't revealed itself yet. And to be able to see everything in life from that standpoint, rather than to see someone who's struggling with pity and, oh, how horrible that is, to know that there is something beautiful unfolding there, and that if it's something for you to do, that it shows up because you feel compelled to either ask the question, can I help you? Are you thinking of committing suicide? Whatever the question might be, you will feel compelled to do it. So sacred service. Come quick. There has been a fight. Your son's hand has been broken. And this is a story about a young boy who was at his friend's, and his hand was broken, and he had been fighting with his best friend, and he ended up in the hospital. He got a cast, and he came home, and the grandmother said, who is it that you were fighting with? And he said, oh, it's Johnny down the street. And she said, well, I'll be right back. She puts her coat on and goes down the street and knocks on the door and says, can I speak to Johnny? And the parents are looking kind of nervous, like, here's Granny, what's going to happen? And little Johnny comes out trembling, and she looks at him and says, you must be feeling just terrible with what happened. And the young man bursts into tears. And she says, come here, let me hug you. And she gives him a great big hug. and says, in spite of your behavior, I love you. He said, and it's all going to be okay. And she let go of the boy and went home. And it's an example of the idea that in that messy situation, she could have been really angry with him, with the other boy that got hurt. Why are you doing that stupid thing, like many of us do? Or, oh, I'm going to kill you the next time you do that. You know, whatever our reaction is. And she took the reaction of unconditional positive regard, recognizing that he didn't do that on purpose. And if he did, he really didn't know the consequences of it. And she loved him anyway. And why I used white, I have no idea. So we're just going to ignore that part. Spirit doesn't want us to know that part. So the outer appearance of helping someone pales in significance when the merit of sacredness dances its way into our heart, dissolving boundaries and small egos. I, as a product of my thinking and mind, am able to acknowledge the sacredness, not the behavior. And so I invite you to think about, as you see messy situations in the world as you move along, if you can see it through I love you eyes or unconditional positive regard, you are blessing a situation and allowing for more good to show up in a time and a place when it's not all that good. That's how powerful you are. Mushin is a Japanese term. Has anyone heard of mushin? It's achieved when a person's mind is free from thoughts of anger, fear, and ego during everyday activities. When your mind is clear, you're free from your ego and you're able to act spontaneously and fluidly without emotion, hesitation getting in the way. And they call that muscle memory in North America, where someone just has so much confidence in everything that they've done that they can do it without thinking, that their muscles just respond when they make the intention to move in a particular direction, that they just automatically do and don't have to think about it. And the same thing happens for us in spirituality, that the more we develop the muscle of knowing that spirit is good and that everything is ultimately good and that the good resides within each of us in spite of the appearances, then every day in every way you start to respond in a way that knows that it's all good, no matter what it looks like. The disaster and crisis kind of thinking becomes less and less and less. So unconditional positive regard. I invite you to think or say I love you today, at least once a day to someone, and perhaps someone different. And if you do think someone's on the verge of considering hurting themselves or suicide or something like that, ask the question. Be the listener, be the ear. And remember our oneness, for there is no separation. And I have a little video to end this off by Pass It On, which is one of my favorites. And then we'll end with a beautiful song that Deidre has chosen for this topic.
Get along down the road. We got a long, long way to go. Scared to live, scared to die. We ain't perfect, but we try. Get along while we can. Always give love the upper hand. Paint a wall, learn to dance. Call your mom, buy a boat, sing a song, make a friend. Can't we all get along?
And join in if you feel so inclined.
I love myself the way I am. There's nothing I need to change. I'll always be the perfect me. There's nothing to rearrange. I'm beautiful and capable of being the best me I can. And I love myself just the way I am. just the way you are. I love the world the way it is, 'cause I can clearly see that all the things I judge are done by people just like me. So till the birth of peace on earth that only love can bring, I'll help it grow by loving everything. I love myself the way I am, and still I want to grow. But change outside can only come when deep inside I know I'm beautiful and capable of being the best me I can. And I love myself just the way I am. I love myself just the way I am. I'm singing the wrong thing. Here we go. Yes, I love myself just the way I am. Even when we make mistakes, just the way I am.
And today is Prayer Request Sunday, so if you did receive a prayer card, please put your name on it, and as the collection plate goes around, please put them in and we'll collect them and redistribute them. And know that as you receive someone's prayer request, know that Spirit knows. You don't need to know. You don't even need to know how. Just know that Spirit always says yes.
Okay. Conscious giving. We believe giving is a spiritual practice. If you are here for the first time, know your presence is a gift to us. Please take your conscious giving envelope in your hand and affirm the following with me, if that's comfortable.
Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all I have, all I give, and all I receive. And from her world tour in the Ukraine and Lithuania, Deidre Francois
Is going to sing a song from Jamaica. Because it just makes sense. One love, one heart. Let's get together and feel alright. One love, one heart. Give thanks and praise to the Lord, and I will feel alright. Let's get together and feel alright. Let them all pass all their dirty remarks. There is one question I'd really love to ask. Is there a place for a hopeless sinner who has hurt all mankind just to save his own beliefs? Believe me, one love. If you know it, sing it with me. One heart. Let's get together and feel alright. One love, one love, one heart, one heart. Give thanks and praise to the Lord, and I will feel alright. Let's get together. Let's get together and feel alright. Let's get together to fight this holy Armageddon. So when the man comes, there will be no doom. Have pity on those whose chances grows thinner. There ain't no hiding place from the Father of creation. Hear me now. One love, all about one heart, one heart. Let's get together. Let's get together and feel all right. One love, one love, one heart, one heart. Give thanks and praise to the Lord, and I will feel all right. Let's get together. Let's get together and feel all right.
Please join me. Given in
Love, received in love, this offering goes forth to do its perfect work. All my desires and needs are met by Spirit through me, and so it is.
If you are here for the first time, there is a gift for you by the ambassador. Anyone here for the first time? Okay.
Yes.
Welcome.
Yay.
Okay, there are a number of announcements. First of all, immediately after this service, you are invited to a potluck just down the hall on the right.
Yes, Randy's been slaving for 2 days. There's some pulled pork that he smoked yesterday, so that'll be fantastic, and some roasted cauliflower and all the other things that you have brought as part of the potluck.
And we have a new member orientation at 12:30 today. Volunteers are needed for our fantastic holistic and artisan fair coming in about a month on the first Saturday of November. That's November the 2nd. What we're looking for is some volunteers Friday and Saturday to help set up and take down the whole needs of tables and chairs and things. And we're looking for a volunteer to look after the raffle table and someone to sell raffle tickets. And also to look after the bake sale table. And a reminder that everyone is invited to bake something, bake cookies or squares or whatever, to bring for the bake sale table. And that will be for our Holistic and Artisan Fair on Saturday, November the 2nd. Prayer request Sunday we've already mentioned. Oh, and this is the beginning of October, and we're going to do the birthday song. First of all, anyone has a birthday in October? Okay.
Yay!
All right. So here comes your birthday song.
It's my birthday. Okay, I'm doing the dance.
Do the kids want to come up and dance too?
Come on up, kids. We love you. We bless you. We truly, truly appreciate me. And we behold the Christ in you. And
kids, make for yourself today. What is it? Is it a turkey? A turkey! Yay! Yay! Look at the nice turkey.
It's a thankful turkey, and so each feather has something they're thankful for.
Oh, very nice. So why don't,
In the thankful reliefs too.
and your friends? So let's consider that our closing treatment. So tell us again what you're grateful for. You want to tell me those again?
It was
Mommy
mommy and daddy,
and daddy,
Sissy,
Sissy,
and Jamal,
and Jamal,
their cat,
a cat, and
the pool.
the pool. And so it is.
We also did one other thing too.
Oh.
We each got little leaves that are thankful leaves that we can carry around with us, and every time we feel a little low, we just hold that and we remember all the things we have to be thankful for.
Oh, wonderful. Very nice. Yay. So let's close with Here I Come.
Are we singing happy birthday? We did.
Are you ready? Come on, grab a hand. Here we go. Here I come. Here I come. I am spirit-filled, renewed and rebuilt. I've got a song in my heart. With joy I dance my part. I am on cloud nine, one with the divine. I've got a smile on my face, and I'm ready to face the world. Here I come. Here I come. Here I come. Oh yes, here I come. I am harmonized, upgraded and revised. I've got love in my heart and the courage to start. I am on cloud nine, one with the divine. Gratitude and grace, and I'm ready to face the world. Here I come. Are you ready? Here we go. Here I come. Here I come. Oh yes, here I come. All right, here we go. I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready. Here I come. I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready. Here I come. I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready. Here I come. I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready. Here I come. I'm ready. I'm ready.